bow. Oh, look at that. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. You even went with a different bow. Nice and stylish. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Tea Time. This is the video series where I get to talk to people, usually just my friends from around the world, but recently we've tried to open that up a bit. Not that Chille's not my friend, of course, but to other industry professionals. I'm going to call you an industry professional, okay? I might be, I don't know, is that the first time you've been called that?
I think that's one of the first times I've been ever called that in my life.
Well, there you go. You're an industry professional. Thumbs up for that one. So yeah, we're talking to Chille from MoogleGoRoundRadio. So that's twitch.tv/MoogleGoRoundRadio. You do podcasts, you yourself do a lot of things, but MoogleGoRound does podcasts every second Thursday, is it? Or
yeah, every second Thursday.
Yeah.
Though we are taking a little break this month. Just because we don't want to spoil stuff, because we know how hyped we're going to be about Endwalker, and our podcast would be the week of Endwalker. So we're going to delay till December. We've got one more out in November, by the way. We've got a couple out in November, but there'll be a little bit of a break from normal. But then we've got one per week in December. So
breakwalker, basically. Nice.
Yeah. We just don't want to be we know we don't want to spoil stuff, but at the same time, we'll be so hyped about it that chances are we'll spoil stuff by accident, and we don't want to do that.
Right. So for people who don't know who you are, Chille, right, I want the first bit. Okay. So we're going to talk about you and your interests, Moogle Go Round, that project, and then we'll go into the media tour, because you also were involved in the media tour. So there's lots of Endwalker discussions and opinions. So what made you play Final Fantasy XIV and then decide, I'm going to do a podcast?
Well, this is going to sound strange to people, but first off, starting didn't sound strange. I played Final Fantasy 11. I tried 1.0. 1.0 failed. I didn't like it, so I didn't really think about coming back for A Realm Reborn. But then I was playing Mass Effect 3 online, and I met some people that were really hyped for it, and that kind of made me want to try it. So thanks to some friends on Mass Effect 3 online, I ended up playing The Realm Reborn when it launched. That's why I play on North American servers, because the people I played with on the Mass Effect were from North America.
Oh.
So I just joined the North American servers because of that.
And the rest is history, right?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Then they moved the EU servers, and then I realized I already had a house and a family and friends. I'm like, I don't want to move. And
he had a family, 2 kids and a dog. He was rooted there then, You're officially an American basically at that point, weren't you?
Yeah.
So
that's why that's the reason why I started Final Fantasy 14. And the reason why I did podcasts was I used to listen to a podcast called Limit Break Radio back in the day.
Right, yeah.
And I heard about FFXIV Radio. And I enjoyed that. And I ended up being a guest on that podcast a couple of times. So, because I loved the game and I was a guest, and then eventually I went from being a guest to a co-host, but they were looking for a co-host at the time, and Paul applied.
Oh wow, okay.
And I applied, so they decided that Moogle Go Round was going to be a spin-off podcast of FFXIV Radio.
Oh,
so
okay.
FFXIV was going to be 1 week, and Moogle Go Round was going to be the other week. But they also decided to accept me as a host on FFXIV Radio. So I ended up doing Moogle Go Round and FFXIV Radio every week.
Oh, God.
Along with my other podcasts.
Oh, God. What other podcasts? How many podcasts are you doing, Chille?
At the time, I was doing about 5.
5 podcasts? That's per week? Or?
Almost per week. It was bi-weekly at least.
So
3 or 4 a week.
There's a good chance that people might have heard you on something somewhere.
Yeah.
But they're like, I don't know who
that is. It's why I barely get recognized for Moogle Go Round in game.
Yeah.
One of our best friends, Talon _Broadbent, I was doing Secret Tower and people were shouting, yeah, hello, how are you? And I'm like, oh, hey, everyone. And he's like, oh my God, you're Chille from She Heals, I Tank. I'm like, no, I'm just a guest. And then recently someone said, oh my God, you're Chille from Maelstrom Radio.
Oh, okay.
I'm like, no, I was just a guest.
It's because you're an ongoing guest, isn't it? You know, you do guest quite a bit. It's like a guest host. Is that what they call it? Guest host?
Yeah.
Yeah, kind
But
of.
anyway, that's why. And then because of some, I don't want to go into detail, but there was some issues with Phoenix Down Radio and Moogle Go Round.
Okay.
And that's when Moogle Go Round split apart.
And then it became
now we're
its own thing with Paul and Chille. And you sometimes talk about Final Fantasy XIV.
Yeah, sometimes.
Sometimes. Although,
look, I love the game, and when there's patch content, it's nice to do podcasts. Yeah. But 3 months into a patch content, you're enjoying the game, but you're enjoying the community aspect more than the game.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's So Moogle Go Round, I feel like, is, as Paul has said, the best in the slightly more safer work way. It's like if you were going to the pub, meeting up with friends, and chatting about the thing you like.
Yeah, So people who are listening right now, you might want to check out MoogleGoRoundRadio. It is, let's say, a bit not safe for work. It is of a mature audience direction, isn't it? So there's this swearing and talking about things and just being frank about things with obviously no intentions to. So it's a little bit less politically correct, I would say, of a show. But I've been on there a couple of times.
Just avoid one of our recent episodes.
Oh, I know exactly that one. Yeah, that one needs to be rated R or something. Jeez, man. I was in bed with Fran watching that episode, and we were like, "Whoa, okay." Did they really say that?
We did have a warning. We did have a warning at the start. In fact, I added a warning to the podcast as well. So there is warnings for that episode. Multiple warnings throughout the entire show.
I would say that the guests did not hold back. Let's put it that way. They just certainly didn't hold back. Not. So you get all sorts of walks of life on your podcast, and you've had people, all sorts of people on there, haven't you? You've had Mr. Happy. You've had more common to most people would be Susan Calloway, right? The singer of some of the best music in Final Fantasy XIV, so like Dragon Song, War Music, and Answers, and all those other tracks that she's been on. What's it?
That was way too. I don't know how I got that on. She was like talking about stuff in Twitter. I'm like, man, I would love to have you on the podcast sometime. She's like, yeah, sure, just DM me. And then I just DM'd her on Twitter, and then we organised a time later on.
So you didn't have to go through an agent or anything?
No.
Oh my god.
So we discussed it on Twitter, and she planned it ahead.
That's awesome. Well, that was.
She's still technically in the Moogle Go Round Discord.
Oh my.
Yeah.
I wonder if she watches some of the. I wonder if she's seen the recent episodes. Yeah.
I doubt it. I don't think she pays attention, to be honest. Yeah, which is fine.
I remember watching that podcast and going, "Wow, this is actually kind of surreal," but at the same time, it was really good. She's very passionate. Yeah. But you've had a lot of passionate guests on there, and that's, I think, one thing that makes Moogle Go Round a little bit different than other podcasts, in my opinion, because of that straight talking approach. So you can get something out of somebody that they wouldn't ordinarily say because of how relaxed of an atmosphere it is. So it works quite well, I think. So yeah, that's Moogle Go Round. So invested in 14 because majoritively it's the fault of people on Mass Effect. But where do we sit now then? How do you feel about that then? Because it shaped your life in every way, hasn't it? Really?
Oh yeah, it really has. It's changed me a lot. I love the game, and I'll say that a lot. But really, it's the community of the game that I love the most. I love how friendly and nice a lot. I'm not going to say all of them because it's like anything. Once you got a big enough crowd, you're going to bring in some bad apples, and that's understandable. There's nothing against the game. But
you get them in any game, yeah.
Because I don't want to paint the picture of Fantasy 14 being like perfect. It's not. Nothing is, and that's why I love the game, because you can tell that even the dev team know that they're not perfect, and they apologize anytime they make any mistakes. Like
that's heavily a cultural thing as well, isn't it? Really,
oh yeah,
especially from Japanese devs being very apologetic for things that sometimes are outside of their control. So. I would say, though, without painting that picture that you're trying to avoid, it does have a really attractive player base in regards to just common sense and just people wanting to experience a fun time over any kind of dramatic sort of confrontational stuff. You don't really get that in this game, and I think that's mostly because there really isn't a big sense on, there's not world PvP and stuff like that, unlike some other games. So it kind of takes that animosity away and that kind of anger. There's like not really any reason realistically to get angry at someone else unless you yourself are being petty, which is why I like the new terms of service changes, right?
Oh yeah. By the way, about world PvP, they've actually tested world PvP internally.
Yeah, I remember you telling me about that.
Yeah, it was I think it was at the 2016 North American Fan Fest, because they had kind of a PvP by the way, they had like a stamp system that year where you like got rewards for collecting 12 stamps. And
we
PvP
had that
was dead at FanFest. So I just kept going around into the PvP booth and got my stamps, because I was the only one queuing. So anyway, but no, they talked about like they had an internal discussion because they had TVs around the arena, around the area. It's a casino technically. And one of them were talking about how they tested internal PvP and how they said it's very easy to add, but the balance was the main issue. So that's why they've never bothered doing it.
Honestly, I'm glad they never did. In my opinion, I don't think it kind of suits the overworld experience in any way, shape, or form. I think that you would have even more problems when it comes to people just going around and doing their quests and stuff if you involved that sort of PvP, even if it was like a toggleable thing. I don't think it's that welcome, especially when PvP, in my opinion, in this game is not at its best, but it could be. I think it's fair to say there's a lot of changes I think most people would ask for. I don't know how you feel about PvP, and
I enjoy it, to be honest.
You enjoy it, okay? Yeah. Do you enjoy the large scale stuff more than the small scale stuff, or like the Feast versus Frontline? Are you one of the people that are like, I love PvP because of stuff like Frontline and Rival Wings and Onsal Hakir, Danshik Nadam, or are you like just overall happy with PvP? Because I think the Feast is the weak point.
Oh, I don't want to use the word overall happy with PvP because that's not how I feel about it right now. But it really depends on my mood. Like, I personally prefer Feast to small scale PvP because it's just easier to do.
Easier to pick your targets out and stuff like that, yeah.
In my brain, I like Frontlines because of the idea of like massive armies clashing into each other and like a cool, like full scale war. But in practice, no.
But what it actually turns into is like it's you want to kill this one person who's like on a flag area, and then there's just like two other people appear. One of them's a white mage. GG, you can't win.
Well, it'll end up like I was part of a Feast tournament recently on Aether. And there was one part where the entire team tried to kill me as a white mage. I lasted so long that they got bored and went off.
Yeah. Well, which patch was this then? Is this recent or?
Yeah, the tournament was like a couple of weeks ago.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah.
Healers are pretty strong at the moment. I don't know. I think PvP, for the most part, I'm looking forward to the small scale PvP thing that they're announcing. We still don't know what the heck that's going to be, but it might be a little bit more directioned. I agree with you that it's better to have control over what you're doing, because it just feels like a Zerg fest in all of the other modes, which is fine, but it gets boring after a while. But my problem with the Feast is really the win trading anyway. So there's bigger issues there.
There's some big issues with that still.
Yeah, massive issues, especially on Chaos Data Center. I'm not. People are like,
I think Aether has that issue as well.
Yeah, I've had some comments on previous videos like, we don't have win trading on this particular data center. I'm like, okay, well, we do. I can guarantee that we do, because a friend of mine got very frustrated about his team just going AFK when a certain group setup appeared at that rank. And he was like,
And AFA
why aren't
has
they
an issue with bots as well and PvP. Because I'm in
really?
a PvP Discord. And after that tournament, a couple of days later, people was like, oh, let's queue for Feast. Let's have some fun. So we all decided to start queuing up for Feast. And we kept getting into groups with bots on the opponent's team. So we had to stop queuing up because the opponent's team were bots.
Feast bots.
Yeah.
That's a different level of just why, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
It'll be so obvious as well. Like, I don't know.
We're we didn't want to get into trouble because we kept queuing up. And we're like, well, we keep getting the same people, so we'd stopped.
Yeah, because you could have easily been screen capped of that situation under surveillance of oh well, they know they're bots and they keep queuing, they must be in on it, sort of thing. Perhaps, because of bots being weaker, perhaps. So yeah, that's really rough. The botting situation is something that I don't know the answer to, but it is getting under everyone's skin lately, more than it ever used to be, but because there's a lot more people, so there's a lot more notice to it. But it seems to be more prevalent. There's a lot of issues though. One of the things though, like I said, the new policy changes. Just get your quick 2 cents on that before we move into the media tour stuff. What do you think about the new terms of service changes, the policy changes? Do you think people are overreacting, which is what I think, or are you finding issue with any of those terms? What do you think?
I watched your video, by the way, on it. Go check out. I know it's on your YouTube channel, but still make sure you go watch it. That's how I learned about the policy changes, if I'm honest. I feel like people are overreacting because there's nothing against doing anything pretty much that people should be able to do right now. People are talking about role playing and stuff like that, but that's what the other tab is for. Now, I want to see how badly they punish people, because I can understand some people making mistakes. I know a couple of times our Savage leader has put us in the party finder for the wrong Savage.
I've done that.
I do wonder if would that count?
See,
would someone be petty enough and have that count?
If somebody wanted to report you, technically that's where it would get noticed, isn't it? Yeah. They'll surveil the party finder and probably police a lot of the RMT stuff. But I think really what it comes down to is if someone wants to actually be that person and report that person for something like that. But then there's no real way of knowing if they're queuing for something that they didn't mean to queue for, or list something that they didn't mean to list, unless they join a party and you go, "Ooh, I'm so sorry, this was actually for this." And then that's the only point where you might see that. But you'd have to be a very petty individual to take that kind of direction. But I really don't see it being a big game changer across the board. I still think that when I make a mistake, which I do, and I've done on my streams many times, where I've accidentally put something in, I don't know, I think I put something in the raid section, but it was a trial. I've done that too many times, and I'm like, oh, whoops. Or I've listed for something else, and, But basically, if you put yourself under player events, there's a drop down for player events. Under the other tab, you can pretty much do whatever you want. The other tab is where that stuff should belong.
As I said, it depends on how it goes. Right now, from everything I've read, it seems okay. I don't see any issue with it. But if it does get a bit petty, then it could be an issue with stuff like that, because human mistakes happen. If you do it on purpose, then you need to. But if you're I'm sorry, I meant to do E2S and I put myself in the party finder for free. Oh,
what do you think about people trying to circumnavigate it by listing party? I mean, you should have seen this the other day, so it might have been the same on Ether. It probably is right now if we were to look. There was the please help groups instead of looking to sell groups. They were because they specifically said in the policy thing that seeking help for your group is not prohibited. But what they did is they were I want to clear this content. Help me. And then it's like, contact this person on Discord. It's like, really? But in the policy itself, it does state circumnavigation is even more of a severe penalty. So I'm hoping that they just hammer those people for doing that. Personally, I know it's bad to say, but I really do hope that they enact the policies that they wish to enforce. I said this before about when Bard Perform was an issue, where you play Bard music from other games? No, technically not, but people do. And then you've got content creators basically being flagged on one type of channel, and then on Twitch you've got people doing it basically on Twitch, making money off of that and, you know, performing stuff. Where is the line drawn? So I would hope that Square Enix do have the manpower to be able to address those things significantly. Otherwise, people are going to start taking the mickey. They're going to do stuff like the yes, help me parties and all the rest of it. It's a tricky situation, but I would not like to be in a GM situation right now for this game, because knowing what is the extreme of what you can enact upon and what you cannot is going to take extra training. That's going to take a lot of extra time for them to get used to. So there's going to be people screenshotting conversations with GMs that'll be on Reddit probably. Then I don't know. I just hope they don't back down from those decisions, because ultimately everything on that policy list, if you read through it, is there to protect the game and the consumer ultimately. And if you're not being a douchebag in the first place, you shouldn't have any worries.
Yeah.
Like, if you're breaking those rules to begin with, then, you know, if you're quaking in your boots reading that stuff, oh, I'll go play a different game, then honestly, yeah, maybe you should, because you should rethink those activities. One of the things that people were moaning about was the stalking clause.
Oh.
I don't know if you read that.
Fast. That should have been there sooner, to be honest. As
Yeah,
someone
it should have been
who's
there.
had that issue in the past on this game, I know some people's feelings.
Yeah, it's I just don't know how that wasn't there previously. But people were like, "Oh, this means it's a fine line between me following someone and all of this." No. It's not, is it? Like, if you are actively, you know if you're doing something bad, right? You know that when you're doing it. There's no way around it. Just because it's written in bold writing now that they will action against these reports, you know, it shouldn't fill you with fear. It should, if you're already doing that, then you shouldn't be doing that and you should change your ways. Or maybe you should find a different experience to play. I think that's the standpoint I have with it.
I completely agree with what you said, to be honest. If you feel like you're going to be breaking those rules, chances are you've been breaking them already. And that's not good. So please don't do those things. You might not think it hurts people, but trust me, it can be really frustrating for players that if any of this is happening to them, both physically and emotionally.
One of the other ones that's garnered quite a lot of negative attention from people throwing their dummies out recently was, from what I read anyway, because I spent the entire evening just reading Reddit and other places. It's not a good, healthy decision, but I wanted to gauge the response. Yeah, gauging the response of things. Basically, people are moaning about the glamour insult part of the policy as well. For example, if I was to say, this is a joke, Chille, but if I was to say, your glamour looks like crap, that technically is a violation of the policy. And if that was a direct thing to you right now, and you were to take that, even externally from the game, then you could potentially be under scrutiny.
How dare you? No.
How dare his glamour is awesome though. Let's look at that.
Thank you.
You are literally the quintessential dwarf. Dwarf mage. Looks awesome. I don't see many people do that as well, so it just reminds me of Vivi.
Yeah, that's my main goal. I'm like a black mage, but I'm a white mage. So
a blancmange mage.
And then I have to stop.
I don't know. Oh God, I hate that staff. That staff brings back too many memories of A Realm Reborn and me not being able to do the relic quest. And I remember picking that staff up and going, really? Like everyone else has got these really cool looking weapons. I'm like, I've got a talking twig.
See, that's why I like it, to be honest. It's so unique compared to so many other weapons nowadays. So many weapons don't have that style, and that's why I like it personally. If I had it when it was a Realm Reborn, then yeah, probably not. But I don't know. I like it.
So just slightly back onto that topic. So technically, if you could be reported for that. But at the same time, as much as it sounds comical, it is actually something that people do have, and it can be quite horrible. Yeah. It is a form of abuse, saying that, well, you look like crap, or you are crap at doing this, or you're an idiot for this, or whatever. So it's kind of nice, actually, because it means that people won't get away with just being like, oh, look at that samurai dressed like that, or whatever. I think honestly, as much as we might see it possibly as a bit of maybe a more light-hearted like thing, it can be quite a serious situation, depending on the severity.
Just think about it this way, for anyone that's listening to this, right? This might be a bit weird, right? But just think about it this way. Imagine if I decided now to leave this tea time, go outside, find a stranger that's walking down the road and go, yo, mate, your outfit looks bad.
Yeah.
And then
confrontation.
It's not exactly, I'm not exactly going to have a good time.
Yeah, if you did that around here, you'd lose your teeth. Oh dear.
But instead of losing your teeth, you get a temporary ban.
There we go. So there we go. That's the analogy. Losing your teeth equals temporary ban. That's just the same analogy, right? It's the same.
You got to wait 24 hours to get your dentures to replace your teeth.
Oof. It's a bit longer than that on a waiting list these days.
Oh, it is. It's a lot longer. Trust me, I know. Not personally, but I know from people.
Indeed. Yeah. Not personally. I like her to clarify that in case Chille actually secretly has like some clacky teeth, those wind-up teeth. I've always wanted some of those wind-up teeth.
People next to my desk.
You just take them out and you just like, yep, that's an Amazu right now. Oh dear. But yeah, I think for the most part, the policy goes without saying that if people get offended or start picking fault with it, it's mostly doing its job, isn't it? Like the people that are affected by this negatively shouldn't have been doing it in the first place. It does mean, however, you need to be a little bit more careful, obviously, across the board. So letting slip certain comments here and there might get you into trouble, especially if you're a streamer or something. So, but that's the only worry.
They clarified the fact that streaming and video content now counts. Because before it was kind of a grey line. Like, sometimes they used it, sometimes they didn't, but now they've clarified in all the terms and conditions that video footage outside of the game can be considered part of it.
Yeah, if you're playing their game,
in-game, but outside.
Yeah, if you're playing their game on screen whilst you're saying that to that person, then it's a policy thingy. I think that's a positive thing because I've seen a lot of clips of streamers that, I mean, we're not going to go down the route of mentioning names, that have been like shown to be aggressive to people. Overly aggressive. Either that, I don't know, I don't really care if that's for entertainment purposes or not, but it does promote that kind of victimization of an individual, whether or not the streamer or content creator themselves is doing it straight face, or if that's actually just a joke or a jest or a troll. Chat can go further, and most people do go further or too far, I've noticed.
That's the issue with, if you're a streamer, is the fact that if you jest about it, it's the fact that the chat, you've got a lot of people that you're entertaining that are watching you.
You're an
and
influencer.
If they see the name, they could be like,
technically, intentional or not, you could be influencing those people negatively. That's look at, well, not to bring anything up, but look at history, in any simple form of conflict or that sort of resolution, it's the inspiration of one or a few people that causes bigger problems,
I mean, there's a reason why companies have influencers play their game to promote the game, because they're influencing people's opinions.
Exactly. It's like, oh, well, here's a sponsored stream of X game, play it, show us what you think, encourage people to play it. It's as simple as that. But I don't know. I've never been told to say anything. I've never been told to sway opinions, and I would never agree to something anyway if I was forced to do that.
No, I wouldn't either.
But
that would be the moment I would do a lot of things. But that I would not.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, but the moment I have to say something I don't believe in is when I would be like, no, I don't care how much money you give me. I don't believe in the product. I'm not gonna, shit it out.
That's right, and that's exactly the reason why I will refuse Raid Shadow Legends, no matter how many times they keep emailing me and people like that. It's just not conducive at all. It's like, I don't really care what amount of money you put on the table. My thoughts and opinions are worth more than that. Me as a person.
Your integrity is worth more.
Yeah, and whilst not everyone shares that belief, so be it. But it's nice to have some kind of integrity, like you say. So,
but I will not go after people that do it, though, because sometimes...
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes they have to do it because of, life reasons. Like, if you have to do it, then I'm not going to be like, no, I'm not going to stop you.
But usually, if you're at that situation, then it's kind of obvious anyway.
I just wanted to clear it up, though, just for those that, have to do it because of reasons.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely, I'm not the sort of person... I'm talking from my own content perspective, certainly not other people. I don't really care what other people do. Ultimately, if they want to do that, then that's fine. That's their decision. I'll still watch it. Just don't expect me to walk away from that thinking that everything was sunshine and lollipops, But it is what it is. But yeah, the policy is there. Hopefully, it gets enforced in the right ways and not the wrong ways. Hopefully, internal Square Enix employees have been, fully briefed on all of that stuff, and I'm sure they have. We'll just have to watch, because I'm sure it'll only be a matter of days before we see some people posting pictures of GM conversations. That's usually what ends up happening on these forums anyway, but at the end of the day, if you broke the rules, you broke the rules. Now, let's move on to more sunnier climes. Speaking of Endwalker, so both yourself and myself got invited to the recent media tour for Endwalker. Completely different events, but the same subject matter, the same stuff, just on different days, basically, wasn't it? And different stuff.
Yeah.
But really, I just want to gauge, because everyone else is kind of, oh, we know Meoni loves it. Meoni fell in love. What did you think? Just overall experience of the professionalism, the setup, what it was like to play the game. What did you think? Start with the beginning bits.
Yeah, I will say that professionalism was really good. It was nice that they contacted me about it. We had a bit of a back and forth about it, which was pretty good. And then the day of, the fact that it was just really well organized. You had your presentation that you sat and listened to. I think it was about an hour presentation, and then you got time to... They told us about the hour that they had to have a break during the day because of law.
Yeah.
But they're like, well, we have to have a break. So, but technically you don't have to. So if they knew we'd continue playing during the break anyway. So, everyone continued playing during the break and didn't take a break.
It was the same on our end. Only a couple of the staff members took it in turns for their break, so that there was always someone around.
Same.
Yeah.
A couple of people were like, "Oh, we'll have 15-minute break now." Then the next people had 15-minute break, and then they swapped around. But yeah, it was really well done. I was impressed of how Parsec worked. It was the cloud service was great.
Yeah, because it's a remote media tour, wasn't it, where we connected to a server in Japan, basically. From what I understand. It was very well done, very well laid out, and I found that the entire thing was just a really friendly atmosphere. It was my first time doing a media tour, and I'm sure it's completely different in person, but I don't know. We'll have to ask people like Work to Game who have been in multiple. I have no idea what to compare it to. Maybe in the future, if we ever get invited to a real life one, that'd be amazing. Then we could draw that comparison. But from what I did experience and the people I talked to, it was incredible to talk to so many people of just different backgrounds in Square Enix. I don't know if it was the same for you, but we had all sorts of techie people, PR people, you name it, that were dropping in and talking.
They weren't really dropping in and talking for us. They were only really talking when, like, if we asked for help. But apart from that, they were kind of just sat there listening for most of it. At least in my chat.
I tried to get him involved. That's why on the A rank video, a couple of the people playing, I think one of the tanks is one of the devs. It was quite fun actually to play with them and do some frivolous stuff. But it was really nice. So impressions of Endwalker from what we saw. So just to clarify, we had one city, Old Charlian. We had 2 zones, so Garlemald, or the ruins of, and we had Fafnir, right? Yeah. So we had 3 places in total we could go to, plus 1 dungeon, which is Tower of Zot. Before we continue, word of warning, we will be talking spoiler territory. Leave now if you don't want to hear anything else about Endwalker, because it's going to be our first impressions and beyond that, our hypotheses, our thoughts, etc. So just to cover it, don't watch any further if you're afraid of that. But for the most part, it's just media tour stuff.
Yeah.
Right. With that in place, impressions, Chille.
Well, the first place I went to was Fafnir. I warped there straight away because I just wanted to go there because in the trailers, that was one of my favorite places. Even though a lot of people didn't like it that much, but for me, I really enjoyed the bright colors. And I wanted to go see the turtle that was in the job actions because I'm strange like that, and I want to see if the turtle was really there. The turtle was there. I'm like, yes, the turtle. But no, during the
turtle confirmed
the job action, there was an area that I wanted to look at the most. In the background, there was like a square arena. I wanted to go see what that was.
Oh, in the sea.
Yeah.
I went there.
I wanted to know. I don't know if that's going to be a training dummy area. If that might be the new the Sky Sea. Yeah, where you play against the raid stuff.
The Stone Sky Sea.
Fun fact: that's how I would check my damage on PlayStation. Is using that.
That's how I do it still to this day, because I refuse to install like those third-party thingies anyway.
Well, there's a
literally, I go there and see if I can kill the dummies.
Well, there's a site to work out your damage using it, because it has a specific health. What you do is you put your time in, and then it'll calculate what you did.
It tells you, which is quite clever, really.
Using spreadsheets.
And then you've got that thingy, like the you basically looking at it and it tells you your optimal rotations for that particular period of time. Yeah, I've seen that. It's really helpful. Stuff like that's fun, like websites.
No, we do not promote
nice to have an
the other thing. Feature. I don't use it. I play on PlayStation, so
I have no use for it. But I know our static does use it, but to better them individually.
I do not promote it in any way.
Right.
Now, I really enjoyed flying around Fafnir, and I saw some of the different unique models. There was some monsters there that I felt like were new to the area. And even the reskinned ones look different enough that they look new, which was nice.
The elephants, for example, those massive elephants, those look really cool. We had snakes.
Crocodiles.
We had an alligator. little alleys in the river. I was like, it's like being in Florida. Oh man, I've seen some really horrible videos lately. I've been watching like fails in real life, and this guy who was fishing, and one of those things just comes out. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I'm gonna stay away.
So
from
someone
those
in my
things.
Discord
Like
chat
nasty.
pointed out a secret diving spot that I didn't know about near the end of the stream, near the end of the event. Could we say?
Yeah.
You know where the elephant statue is? Yeah, you can actually dive down
Yes.
there. Yeah.
Oh really?
There's nothing down there. It's
Oh.
just like marble flooring. But I'm going to guess that maybe there's a
Well,
quest.
it might be in the. I would imagine there's like, I've dropped my pearls at the bottom of this lake. You adventurer, go and get me my pearls. That would be a lame quest, but it'll probably happen, right? I also noticed there was going to be lots of spearfishing opportunities off the coast of Favnir underwater.
I got, as we know, I got a Yoshi P interview, and that was one of the questions I nearly asked, actually, if I'm honest. Was the fact that fishing only has one spear still. And it was weird eye level reasons that we can't be the same eye level as all the other gatherers.
Yeah, I don't really know. I guess we'll see what happens, because there's clearly going to be spear fishing in this. There's the reefs, and there's nothing else that's probably going to be underwater. There's certainly not monsters in this game underwater, as we saw with Ruby Sea and stuff. So, yeah, I'm curious about that.
Well, might be friendly monsters, like the shark in Ghost of the Soul.
Yeah. Like a nice Favnirian shark just floats by, a nice colourful shark or something.
So,
or Megadolon, you know. Something nasty that's just like, hello.
But no, Favnir was probably my favourite zone to explore.
Oh, interesting. Garlemald was my favourite, just simply because it looked like a bomb had hit it. Literally. I think I really wanted to have more questions with Yoshi P, but I didn't want to go down that route too much, because I know everyone else is probably going to ask it. But I wanted to ask seriously if they had thought about like World War II as a reference for some of those ruins, because when you're walking through there, it literally feels like just an occupied town or something that's just been ruined, just smoldering ruins. It was so impactful. The music was somber and just, like everything just looked like it had gone to complete crap. And it's so good for it. That's why I liked it. It felt like there wasn't much there, but there didn't need to be much there because of what there was. It was landscape storytelling. And like the subway, for example, that I walked down in my video that apparently a load of people missed.
Yeah, everyone's like, man, I didn't know there was a subway. I'm like I started in the subway because that's the teleport I picked.
Yeah, I remember watching. I watched Zeppler's stream where she was watching through videos. She was like, whoa! Where was that? I'm like,
no, to be fair, you walked into a Favnir building. I'm like, wait, you can go into those buildings? I tried a couple of doors, but all the doors were locked. That I went into, and then you like found this door. I'm like, locked. So I tried like 2 or 3 doors. I'm like, they're all locked. I'm like, I guess they're all locked for the media tour, and then just flew off.
Yeah, and then you got that massive dude, that elephant guy, trying to sit on that tiny little chair. That was one of my favorite things. I was in stitches at the time, just going, "What?" Dear. But yeah, the zones in general were a pure treat. I think with what they have, or what we've seen of what they have, the diversity is already like insane. So we've currently theoried, obviously, that there's going to be 6 zones plus 2 cities, right? That's how it works. So we've got Radzat Han and Old Charlian as the cities. Then for the zones, we'll have whatever the moon zone's called. Probably Labyrinthos, since that had an aetheryte and an area. Then you've got Garlemald, Favnir, and then
you got that cloud area, right?
Then that cloud area, by the way, I will put 20 quid on that being Old Amarot.
Probably.
That is a safe bet. Seriously, I seriously think that is Amarot. I think that's the ruins of Amarot or old Amarot or whatever you want to call it. I think that is where the last zone will be,
probably.
Presumably, or one of the last.
Because it looks
zones.
like we go to the moon.
But yeah,
mid expansion, I'd say. Like 85, 86.
Yeah. It also looks like I've listed 5 zones there. I think that the old Amarot thing would be like the last one. But what I think will happen, here's my hypothesis, right? And then we'll hear what you think, all right? I think we start off on a boat into Old Charlian. No one will talk to us, nothing. We do some quests. It'll be one of those things where it's like, oh, and then you get a report that Garlemald's been basically blown to pieces or whatever. So you go over there, you do that sort of stuff. You realize that you can't access that. There's a dungeon underneath there that we know of from a dungeon trailer related to a train. We found a subway with a working train that's being worked on in the media tour. So that's a dungeon. Then there'll be that bit. I don't think that we will get into the capital part of Garlemald until like a raid or something, or like some other dungeon or something later on. I think that'll be kept away from us.
Like, hopefully we can visit.
I think it will be, honestly. I think that like the main capital building, I think that'll be a dungeon, like Alamigo.
Alamigo.
I'm still salty about Alamigo. Right, and then we've got, so from there, then we'd go Favnir, I think, with the Tower of Zot being a dungeon that we would do, or either that way or we do Favnir first, then Garlemald. And then I think that the moon will actually be 2 zones. I think there'll be outside moon, and then there'll be Subterranea, will be the 5th, like 6th zone or 5th zone if you count Old Amarot as the 6th, right? So you'll have Subterranea as well as surface area with that area with the craters. Because if they're going the Final Fantasy IV route, they kind of would. Especially if Zodiac is indeed, as we know, trapped inside the moon. Or sealed away or whatever, right? So it makes sense to have
Subterranea. I think Zodiac is going to be a reference to Final Fantasy XI.
You think?
Yeah, because in the job action trailer, there are some enemies based on the Chains of Promathia empty enemies, which were part of Promathia, which was the main bad god of Final Fantasy XI. This counterpart for Atlantia.
I thought they were going to go to 12. I thought they were going to go to like the 12 route of Zodiac.
Well, I don't think it's going to be exactly. I just feel like there's going to be. He might have some design references.
I just remember a long time ago. You remember when there was a shot of Elidibus on the moon, which was one of the first cutscenes we saw in the game, where the moon was introduced with Elidibus or whoever. I think it was Elidibus stood on the moon, and there was a structure behind him. Someone took that and, as they do, looked at that scene, and that actual structure is exactly the same as the model from Final Fantasy XII of Zodiac, just on its side as a ruin.
Maybe.
So, it was in that cutscene. Why was it in that cutscene? But who knows what's under there. But I think Subterranea would be an amazing final zone. Maybe we learn stuff in like this old Amarot or whatever. It's like actually, how to gain access to the subterranean part of the moon. Maybe it is sealed. Maybe we have to break the seal to go down there to deal with the problem, right? Possibly. But that's my theory of where it's going. Do you think anything different from that? Do you have any other ideas for zones?
I feel like I'm going to switch Amarot on the moon. I feel like Amarot might be like a finishing lap. Like, I feel like we might be visiting there for memories after we finish what we do on the moon. It's like we learn more about ourselves fighting the big bad on the moon, and then we hear about Amarot ruins, and we go there, and it's kind of like flashback central as we
like the convocation,
go through the storyline of 2.0 to where we are now, like to kick us in the emotionals.
Yeah, that could easily happen. Bear in mind, no one's died in a long time.
Yeah, but
Technically.
6.0 still happened yet. Hasn't happened yet. So I can see. I don't think we're gonna get a lot of deaths. I still feel like the twins are gonna not die, but not die. That's my theory. I think we're gonna get a major fake out with the twins.
We'll lose something. I think we'll lose something, but not necessarily a person. But I don't know what. Yeah. It feels more like there will be loss, but not a person, or maybe not.
I think we're gonna lose the Scions, but not in a way that they die. It's just that it's the group itself is going to split up, and they're going to go live their own lives. Like, yeah,
really
except for a couple of ones that are new, like Grahatia, Justinian, maybe Cryo.
Interesting.
But I feel like the originals might go off and do their own things.
Can I hire Thancred to cut my lawn on my island sanctuary then, please? Is that possible? He's got no other job, right? He can be my lawn.
But I feel like
I'm sure
Stoller might try and find a way to get back to the first. Yeah.
What for Runar? Ooh, some people in the comment section like, stay away from my waifu. Yeah. That's what
I don't know if it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be a waifu thing. Well, it will be for him, but for her, it's more friendship. Like,
companionship. Curling a ball in front of a fire, sort of. Like
we know what Alpha Node is going to be, because he's going to try and take charge of an army or be in charge of an army. Alice saying, I have no idea.
The dude needs to stop. Yeah, Alphino needs to just stop and realize that he is not a competent leader, and he needs to stop, because I don't know. No one should encourage him.
But no, I don't know what they're going to do exactly, because I don't know what 6.0 storyline will lead them. But I feel like they're all going to split off and do their own thing. And then...
See, I don't think they will. I think what would happen is that the truth realization, if that is the way we're going with the old Amarok or whatever, at some point, that's going to happen. The Scions will talk about it. The Oriange will be like, yes, well, I already knew, because he did already know. He'd already hypothesized that you were one of them anyway, an Ascian. And then it's like, well, we can't be together because you're an Ascian and we're not. And then they realize that they can, and they themselves become members of a convocation, and they look after the world by becoming not the Scions, but the new convocation of 14 or 7 or whatever, however many we are.
No, that's why.
Like, like Power Rangers.
Become the Power Rangers. I want 6 Lalafels with attitude.
Yeah. And they all have to be wearing the Garrow outfits as well. Go Lala Rangers.
Then Zordon could be a Rogadin in a tube.
Rogadin in a tube, confirmed. No, that's Zodiac. Zodiac's in a tube. He's been trapped there all this time. He's like, damn you, Rangers. Oh, dear. No, whatever's in store for the story is going to be compelling. But I like the fact that we're sat here with not a freaking clue between us of what would actually happen. It's fun because there's nothing to base it on. There's no like, well, this happened at this time, so this has to. There's only very minor bits. No one can tell me how this story is going to end with accuracy. Not even any of the lore buff side people can tell me that. They can give you ideas of what could happen, but there's so many what ifs right now, and that's what's exciting. So it's not, some people were comparing it as like, oh, it'd just be Stormblood 2. No, because in Stormblood you kind of knew where that was going, and it was kind of like, well,
I do hope it is not Stormblood 2.
Not my favorite expansion.
Like, I like Stormblood story. I'm not going to insult that. I like the story. I just hope we don't go from Fafnir to Garlemald to Fafnir to Garlemald and then to the moon. I want...
You know that's going to happen. You know that it's going to be Sharlayan to Fafnir to Sharlayan to Garlemald to Sharlayan to Labyrinthos to Sharlayan to Amarok to Sharlayan to the moon. You know, because it's just going to be. It's a political nightmare. The current, what is it? The Studium are just like or whatever. Are they called the Studium?
Yeah.
The council of dudes.
That's
Charlie
why I
and
still
council
feel
dudes.
like
They seem
I know from the storyline,
tricky.
spoilers from the story that Daddy like disowned the two twins. But I feel like because he's still a father, like he still has his emotional bonds with his kids, even though he is more like following the rules than he does anything else. I feel like if there's, I feel like if his kids die, like Alphanad and Alice say,
yeah,
I can say daughters, his kids, if his kids die, I feel like that he will let us. Like, he won't do it above the board, but that's how we get into. That's how I think we get in.
Wait, what? That's how you think? Okay, here's my hypothesis to that. I think that he's playing tough love to actually spurn them to come over there to investigate without telling them outright. I think it's a double bluff. I think, and I read this the other day, someone else backed this up with really quite, I wish I had the link to the Reddit thread, but I was like, oh, that got me thinking. So basically, I think he was being a deliberate asshole to encourage them to go, well, I'm going to go straight to Charlene and demand thingies. And secretly he's like, yes. Because he knows that if he'd be like, yeah, I'm not supposed to tell you, he'd get found out. So at least this way he can look like he's enforcing the will of Charlene without being, well, killed himself. Especially when they talk about Hal's mother and he's just sort of docks it. It's like, oh, she's fine. Yeah. But she could be held like accountable, like True. He doesn't want to risk that. It could be a great danger, or maybe he's like playing along with it, trying to disown them so that they wouldn't come there, but actually, so they do come there because he knows what they're like. They're his kids, and so that they come there and then find out that secretly there is some serious messed up stuff happening in Labyrinthos deep underground underneath old Charlie, and that they're keeping secret that he knows about, but he doesn't dare say anything about. That's what I think. But you think they're gonna
not die, but like, you know what happens in 4?
Conflict. Right, yeah, okay, alright, fair enough.
That's my view.
Right, fair enough. Oh shit, I didn't think
because they are also
before.
twins.
Oh, let's hope they never learn break. Huh. That would be... I didn't think about that. Oh, that would be a really on-the-nose Final Fantasy IV
I don't think it's going to be
reference.
exactly the same.
That's
but,
more than a reference. Dear me, I don't even...
All I know is I renamed
sure
two characters in 4 my playthrough to Alfred and Alice.
Well, there we go then. Foreshadowing. We'll see if you're right. We'll see who's right out of that one. But yeah, storyline aside, then media tour. Back to that. I'm sorry, this is going on a bit, but it's worth talking about. That's fine. I'm happy as long as you're happy. So impressions of the new jobs. We'll start with Reaper, and then we'll talk about Sage.
I played the dungeon with Reaper with Bird Chest and Jahara Joy, 2 wonderful content creators. By the way, I had a lot of fun with them. And I nearly died several times as Reaper because I'm not used to fast jobs that also have teleports. So I'm like, man, okay, an AoE behind me, but it's okay. I can teleport in front of me and I can dodge it. Teleport behind me into the AoE. I'm like, sorry. But yeah, Reaper, I felt like it plays completely different to most jobs. Unlike most jobs where it's like you've got 1, 2, 3, and then you got your off global cooldowns, and then you got your 1, 2, 3. Reaper's more like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 4, 5, 6, and then back to 1, 2, 3 eventually.
I like how somebody at the event was like, yeah, how does it feel to play a job that doesn't have any defined rotation? I'm like, that's definitely a quote to take forward. Because he was like, it's true. Like, there isn't a 1000% accurate rotation that you could seal in stone like every other job. It seems very chancy. Like, very, I don't know, it feels a bit
kind
RNG.
Kind of like Original Machinist.
To me?
Because original machinist, you had a rotation, but it was RNG if you proc the rotation.
Yeah, there is a basic rotation, right? But there isn't a rotation if you want to do good. It's you need to press this button and this button, this button, this button, this button, and this button. If, in this particular order, if this, but if this, then do this. The flowchart of Reaper is going to be like a spider diagram. It's going to be insane. Like, where are all of these lines? You know how they do that? You've probably seen it on Reddit and other places, on Twitter and things, where people are like, this is how you play Samurai. If this is up, press this. Oh, but if this is up, you press this. Well, Reaper's going to be, do this, do this. Oh, okay, no, don't do this instead. But this is a cooldown. This is an off-global cooldown, but you need to use this for it first to use this to fill this meter, but then you're filling this meter at the same time if you press this. But if you don't press this, it's a DPS. It's going to be just nightmarish. And from what I played, I could not understand a damn thing. I read through the tooltips over and over and over again. I press the buttons. More recently, I've been looking through all the tooltips from the media tour again, going, was I just dense? Did I miss something? And I'm like, okay, I understand halfway down, okay? And then halfway down the tooltips, I go, okay, they lost me. Because the first bit is so easy. Like the first half of those tooltips when you scroll down, okay, I get that. Use this when that. All right, okay. And then it's like, but then there's this particular thing that does these things. And then there's also this thing that does things with all of these other buttons. And this one does an AoE. This one does just a conal attack. But this doesn't just do a conal attack. It also does a single target damage that might be the same potency as this thing that's a single target damage anyway. So it's kind of not situational. One of them will be better overall anyway. So,
I will say, someone suggested doing Powers of the Dead with Reaper, and I got confused originally why they suggested that, because you start above the Powers of the Dead level. But I might actually take that idea and run with it, because that way I can
the best idea.
Level up with it and work out where my button placement is, rather than starting with level 80 with all the buttons. 70, sorry.
Yeah, they throw buttons at you one by one, don't they? Which is, well, hopefully. But yeah, it's going to be fun, don't get me wrong, but I've said this so many times to many other people, and I think most of them have agreed, there will be a Grand Canyon between a good Reaper and a bad Reaper. There will be a freaking Grand Canyon. It will be like, everyone plays Reaper? Okay, cool, right? But in the end game, we're talking Savage, it's going to be quite a hard thing to do. I don't know. I wouldn't want to be in those shoes. I envy anyone who's taking that challenge, because it's going to be. I
will say people will have a little bit more time than we did to try Reaper, though. You know, Savage shouldn't drop till December 22nd, I think. Let me double check.
Oh yeah, they've got plenty of time, but
that's, by the way, that's a theory. I do not know the dates of Savage or normal raids, but I'm just going off the normal time, because normally it's normal raid and second set of tomestones is 2 weeks after release, which is technically the 23rd.
Yeah.
So that would mean.
Yeah, they should.
I kind of hope they delay it, if I'm honest. Because the 21st is like 4 days before Christmas, and for me and you, that's fine because I'm not a world firster. But you do have the world first groups, and having it Christmas week would be a bit of a pain for some people.
I know for a fact that world first teams.
Oh yeah, no, because they want
you completely.
They want it day one properly.
Content now,
but I just for health reasons, I would rather,
in an ideal world, but
no, it won't.
I don't see it happening. I see it happening how it's always happened, because of them not wanting to let people down. At least it's there and they can choose in their real lives if they want to spend the time in the game or not, But so Reaper, fun to play, I would say, easy to pick up, incredibly hard to get anywhere with what time we got to play with it anyway. I will not say that I was any good at Reaper. I was terrible, and I still don't understand it. But yeah, I mean, then we go on to something that was like incredibly easy for me, and I loved every second of it, which was Sage. Now I want to know your opinions on Sage, because I've already made the
Sage.
switch
My
decision.
static knows. I had some issues at first because I play on controller, so working out all the buttons for the controller was a bit of a pain. But yeah, I'm not used to shield healing, but I felt like at least for trash mobs, that I know you don't really have to heal for trash normally, but I didn't have to. I don't think I had to heal at all, really. I
No,
I didn't even put a shield on. I just literally went in and started DPSing and had the I don't know I can't remember what it's called exactly, but cardio. I had cardio on the tank.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Cardio gives you Cardion as a buff to the target. Cardion is the buff that where you DPS with Dosis, it grants healing from the some percentages of the damage dealt as heal to the healing target, which is
it's basically
like
dance partner for healer. I don't know. It felt really good. I did have some trouble with the bosses, but this could have been because we had new tanks, or again, I didn't know my tooltips exactly, and I'd never really shield healed. But it wasn't too bad, and I felt like my damage was pretty high. I have no idea what my damage was, but it felt decent. And I felt, and mana. You have mana for days.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you really do. I like I just like the whole diagnosis and prognosis, and then having the alternate versions of them. So you have like single target heal, but if you press this button, it turns into a single target shield. You have an AoE heal, but if you press that button again, that other one turns into an AoE shield. If you press Dosis, and then but if you press that button first, it applies a dot. So I basically got Deer at the same time. I was like, okay, this is really comfy. Then we have, I forget the name of it, which is basically a size. Then we have it's just everything felt familiar. I was like, oh, that's basically Neutral Sect from Astro. Okay, that's comfy. Then you have these other it was so nice. There's so many AoE abilities. It just really worked quite well. The shields felt like they were there. Now, when I asked Yoshi P about the whole shield healing thing and how Sage and Scholar was to be compared, I got the impression that he basically didn't want people to compare the two in the slightest, that he wanted people to see Scholar as a traditional shield healer, which I think is what he said, paraphrasing a bit, whereas Sage is a barrier healer, so it's completely different. But I will say, it's not going to be looking like that when people come to make a static or to do a run of things. For the most part, people will going, all right, well, what's the best of this particular sub role? All right, well, Sage then, and they'll take the Sage. I do think that's a problem, and I do think that's going to occur quite a bit. But what I did play of Scholar was I was surprised by how much it was just the shields do a lot more, but Sage was better.
I could see Scholars replacing Sages eventually. Like, I feel like Sage is going to be the start.
Really?
But I feel like Scholar might edge against Sage just because of the party buffs. Sage doesn't have any party buffs. And depending on how much damage between Sage and Scholar when it's actually being, in raid, whether having the party buffs from having the Scholar's abilities will make Scholar better in the long run. Like a party with really good DPS, whether having Scholar boost their DPS even more will be more useful than the Sage bringing a little bit more DPS. Because you've got the chain stratagem, which increases the critical rate, which I don't think. Then you got the fairy buffs,
but it does feel more like you will be dealing so much damage yourself that it will make up for that small amount of buff anyway. I really, we don't know until we see it, but I feel like the arsenal that Sage has, and it doesn't have to press heal all the time, will
I'm
alleviate
talking
that
about
effect.
like 10% critical rate during a burst window, along with your fairy. What was it? Your fairy has no, there was a fairy. I think there was like a damage. I was like, I can't remember. I think it's gone now. But either way,
I
that
don't
critical
remember.
buff is, I feel like will help.
It's gonna depend on your
Yeah.
actual team setup as well, your team comp, because they've added a lot of stuff. For example, was it Red Mage that got the party? Everyone's getting like a party-wide buff. I noticed, like most of the jobs I was reading, I was like, oh, party-wide buff. So I don't think
I don't think it's going to be bad.
And I don't think Scholar's 90 ability to me is kind of worrying.
Yeah.
It's a shield, but the movement is it's insanely fast. It's going to cause a few wipes, I think. Unless we're focusing on very heavy movement for a scene, but then that takes it out of line with the other jobs, so it can't. So I don't see the usability of I don't know. I'm a little bit harsh on Scholar, as people know, but at the same time, I don't think it got the love that it needed. And I think that Sage, while Sage looks flashy and people are like, oh, it's just flashy, it has an incredible toolkit. And I will be using every last bit of it. It looks very fun. It plays really well. And the healing's pretty good, honestly. I was surprised how much I was healing.
We can only speculate until the raid actually drops and the trials, because we don't even know what the trials are right now. So it's all speculation until we find out. Well, I guess spoilers, because I'm expecting Anima to be a trial, because we saw. Yeah.
Well, it is, isn't it? That's what they talked about.
You say previous, that, but then the dungeon boss
in FanFest. It'll be a trial fight. I can guarantee that. They're not going to bring the guy from Final Fantasy X over with the model and like design everything properly just for it to be a dungeon fight. That's going to be. And also, like, I don't understand if it is like a similar model, then that's really freaky, because Anima was designed to be Seymour's mother in Final Fantasy X.
I already joked when it got announced. Like, I was, I was reacting with Motion Radio and MoogleGoRound during that live letter. And I joked as soon as Anima popped up. I said, what if it's Xenos' mum?
Oh my god, that would be freaking incredible. In a weird, sick, demented way, that would be perfect. Oh, wow. Simply because of, I mean, for people who don't know, I mean, I guess spoilers for Final Fantasy X, but Anima is basically Seymour's mother. Seymour's mother gave her life so that she could become an Aeon to help Seymour in his
What if that's Seymour's Reaper's true form?
It was her self-sacrifice.
Is it? Anyway, that was wild speculation.
But it literally looks identical.
If I get this right, it's wild speculation. I have no connections. I have no ideas. I have no idea. But no, I joked.
I mean, in the Ultimania as well, when I was reading that section, they were talking about how if you look at the model of Anima very clearly, there's those things that you hang, which is supposed to signify the dead, like, you know, someone who has died. It's like a prayer thing. I don't understand personally. I don't understand that, but it's apparently a cultural significance. But even that's still on that concept art for our game.
Also,
so I'm like, okay. Well, now I'm going to be drawing. Also,
you can see Seymour's mum on Anima. It's round.
This is true. So I'm expecting some dead person on it.
It's a necklace of round it. So.
Yeah.
But no, that was my wild speculation about Anima. That it was Xenos' mum.
We'll see if you're right. There's a lot of speculations going on here, which is good. So both Reaper and Sage, reaping some Sage. I think overall they are very welcome additions to the game. But what changes, if you could talk about any, since you're gonna have to be very picky and choosy, we don't have time to go through all of them, that you were most happy with or most
I feel like everyone
with?
Well, I'm personally displeased with Dark Knight. I don't really play Dark Knight that much, but I feel like they got the same effect that Monk got in Shadowbringers, where it was just like nothing. And I feel bad for Dark Knight. I'm sure it's okay, but I just wish it got a little bit more compared, because all the other tanks got so much more. And I feel like,
yeah, I don't really have a comment on it because I didn't have time to play Dark Knight. To be honest,
I
played
didn't
it like
try
a few
Dark Knight that
seconds
much.
of it.
I just
That was
looked at
it.
its toolkit.
Honestly, not worth.
I played Paladin because that's what I played when I actually started Paladin when the game first came out. So,
yeah. So yeah,
yes,
Paladin, exciting stuff.
I was very
to
shocked when
Confutia.
I found out that we got 5 healers now. We've got Sage, Scholar, White Mage, Astrologian, and Paladin. I was really shocked that they decided to make Paladin a healer.
So many of those
Divine
abilities.
Veil gives an
HP.
AoE regen.
It's nuts, isn't it?
Sheltron gives a regen. Intervention gives a heal. Your DPS spells give a heal. It's like I am the healer now. And
they're gonna have some interesting solo experiences. I think people are gonna probably take those through.
And the other job I really enjoyed was Monk, because I got angry when they got rid of Grease Lightning. I know a lot of people like that, but I disliked that change because I found Grease Lightning was really easy to keep up after the previous change. But with the new Blitz system, it's fine.
It's like a Nokian, isn't it?
So,
like a lot of people felt the same way. Well, I talked to anyway. People in my static felt the same way about a Nokian being now a passive.
I called that, by the way.
But after
I joked
playing it,
when Grease Lightning got removed, I joked on the MoogleGoRound that episode saying, watch Endwalker get rid of other timers like the Dragoon one and the Black Mage.
Yeah, Blood of a Dragon baked in. Yeah. Still got Life of a Dragon, but
for now.
Nokian's gone. Yeah. But I'll be honest, the star for me, melee-wise, was definitely Dragoon. I absolutely loved it. I loved every second of playing that. And I don't know why, because I can't really stand it on live. It's not that much different, but not having Blood of a Dragon, I was happier. It was a lot of fun. The new skill is really nice. It's very fluid. Lots of damage. I was
you were just
impressed.
Happy to pole dance.
What other things were you? I was happy to pole dance. Yeah, it's just so much more fluid. I did find that across the board with all of the jobs, with the change to cast times and bringing things in line, things landed so much nicer. It wasn't just a massive like cluster every single time that, you know, like when you're working your way through all these jobs, you're trying them out and then you're like, actually, all of this feels very manageable now. There's not any job apart from the 3 that I can't really get behind anyway, which is Monk is a problem for me, Ninja's a problem for me, skill-wise, and now Reaper. But everything else felt just incredibly fluid and fit together perfectly. So they've done a good job of bringing that stuff in line, I think, especially for the casual sort of player like myself. For a lot of those jobs, that's not my main focus. Anything other than healing, I don't really consider myself any good at. But yeah, it just felt really good. So, any other thoughts then for job changes?
No, I think I didn't really play. We had a lot. We had a lot of time, but the first hour or so, I was just enjoying the experience.
Yeah.
And then after that, I realized, oh God, I don't have much time. It's like, man, I've said 1 hour later. Oh my God, how am I going to fit everything in? I've learned, because it was my first media tour as well. I feel like next time I'm going to have to go in with like a spreadsheet and plan all my time to the minute, basically.
You think? Okay.
Yeah.
You see, I've thought about that and I was thinking long and hard about how I wanted to do my content. And in the end, I was like, well, just experience it and show what you would want to watch yourself. Now, there's 1,000,001 people that are going to do job guides and look at this and stuff. So I was like, all right, well, we'll reserve a lot of that for like tooltip discussions, because let's be honest, I'm the master of none, apart from like me playing white mage and a couple of other bits and pieces in red mage and stuff like that. It's not enough for me to be like, I know everything. I'm not going to proclaim to know everything, or if the changes are good or not. So I was like, I'll reserve a lot of that for like tooltip things. I'll talk to people who actually play those jobs, and then we'll, once the embargo's after, we'll release the other videos, which is what I'm working on at the moment. I thought that was the best thing to do without pretending, basically, that I knew anything. But what I did focus
For me,
on...
it was just...
Sorry, go on.
I just want to organize, because I did record some videos. I just want to make sure that in the future, the reason why I said minutes is just so that I can organize how I do stuff a little bit better. Like, I feel like I could have done some more stuff in the dungeon, more exploration, and that I just did it haphazardly.
Well, I kicked myself over the fact that I forgot that you could spawn a target dummy inside Explorer mode, and Tower of Zot was listed for Explorer mode available on the media tour. So people went in there and got footage of the limit breaks, and I was like, oh, balls, I knew I forgot something. But that's one of the things to think about next time. But what I did look at, I'm pleased with, because I did videos about the zones themselves. I talked about the different changes to UI elements and other bits and pieces. I definitely wanted to look at the artifact stuff. Actually seeing it in game is different. So I had a good time, and I don't think I regret anything or use of time, realistically.
I still find it interesting that you were able to dye your artifact armor.
Yeah, I don't really understand that. But
because none of mine was dyeable.
Well, the Sage stuff was all dyeable. You'd right click on it, and the dye option was there, and you pressed it. The only reason it wouldn't let me dye is because I didn't have the dyes. So I was like, okay.
No, when I went to right click, it even said even the item description said the fact that this is not available. Like,
who knows? So, let's hope they don't lock the dyeable variants behind something like Memora Misera. I think that's the general population of this game has decided. I
almost cleared that yesterday for the first time.
Nearly is not clear though. Come on, keep trying, Chille. You've got this.
I will one day.
You're doing it in Party Finder.
Yeah, I am.
Oh, good luck.
Thank you.
I had to drag my friends back to the game whilst they were supposed to be not playing before Endwalker. I was like, I want to do this triple triad card. Okay. We did do some Party Finder, but for the most part, it was like, let's just get people in that know what.
We were getting really close, but then something happened and people had to leave.
It's just, it's not even that hard of a fight. It's just a cluster of pattern. It's not that fun, honestly. It's not a fun fight. I think it's one of the weakest. It is the weakest Shadowbringers content. Memora Misera. There, I said it.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything weaker than that. Hey, even Innocence has got, that's way better. Yeah, the trials in this expansion were fantastic. Thinking about it.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing how Endwalker trials go.
Especially if we're right about Anima being one, and then what else could we have? Mindy, Cindy, and Sandy are going to be one, aren't they?
Yeah.
Because they don't.
That's the two trials.
Because they don't.
We only get two at launch, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We only get two.
Well, we get four technically, because we get the normal mode in the MSQ, and then you get the extreme at the end.
Oh yeah, we've yet to see the Cindy, Mindy, and Sandy, the Mega Sisters trial. We did get to see them in the Tower of Zot though. Yeah. Which was a nice little...
I do wonder which one gives the weapon. I'm hoping that the Magnus Sisters gives you your weapon, because remember, we get a weapon and accessories.
I want them to not give any accessories through it. I want them to actually all have weapons, so in the future we get glowy, nice variants of everything. Because
that'd be cool.
I could imagine some really cool-looking animal weapons, I could. That would be amazing. Imagine chains like dropping from these like evil-looking twisted things with teeth. I want that, but I also want some Mega Sisters kind of weapons as well. Although
cartoony weapons.
Yeah, maybe they will be the accessory person.
I want like bee daggers for ninja.
Bee daggers. That'd be amazing. Stings like a bee.
Yeah.
Literally. But yeah, thoughts though, predictions for Endwalker, anything else you want to talk about before we wrap this one up, Chille? It's been a long one.
No, I think I've done all my predictions really. Yeah, I think most of my predictions I've said during this tea time.
Yeah, I don't really have anything beyond that myself. I will say though, thank you so much to Square Enix for allowing both myself and extending from Chille as well. Like, it's nice.
Thank you so much.
It's nice to have been included in something that we usually read about and watch other people do. So hopefully, between our content deliveries, we've managed to address some people's interest in the game, and we're all really incredibly excited to see what Square Enix puts together for Endwalker and beyond. I cannot imagine it disappointing us in the slightest. So, yeah, it's a good time, isn't it, to be a 14 player? Don't you think?
I think so. I think it's probably one of the best times to be a 14 player right now.
Absolutely, especially with events.
Maybe in 2 weeks, 3 weeks when it comes out, will be the best time to be a 14 player.
Well, you want to start? There's a free trial that I'm sure Chille could cycle through.
Yeah.
Did you know there's a free trial up to level 16? You get the base game plus the first expansion for free.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go play the game. It's awesome. Get hyped. Anyway, Chille, thank you so much for coming on Tea Time. Your first ever Tea Time. Hopefully it lived up to expectations. Nice sort of freeform chat. Bit of chit chat. You're totally not used to freeform chit chat, are you, from Moogle?
No. This is the first time I've ever done this.
An industry professional. There we go. So, Chille, where can our lovely viewers find you? The links and stuff will be in the description, but where can they find you, Chille? Where can they...
I mean, the best way to find me is by going to twitch.tv/Meoni and then click Team Whiskers and then look at all the wonderful Team Whiskers members, because we're there.
That's an option.
Also, I guess you can go to our Twitch channel, but just do that instead.
And your Twitch channel is...
MoogleGoRoundRadio?
MoogleGoRoundRadio. Moogle Go Round Radio. For those of you who don't know what we just said, because we speak fast. Where else can they find you? You do podcasts and stuff.
You can find me on podcasts. You can find me on PSU, where I do written articles. I think I'm doing a written review of Endwalker when that comes out at the end of the month.
And that's PlayStation Universe, no?
Yeah, PlayStation Universe. We also do a podcast for them as well, which I think is like 400 episodes now.
My God, that's a lot of episodes.
Because I've been doing it for a decade.
Wow. Congratulations.
Almost a decade, should we say. I think it's like 9 years.
Wow.
Ish. So next year will be a decade. So...
and that's where
I do a podcast for them every week.
They can see a lot of your Endwalker stuff on PlayStation Universe, no?
Yep, and they're also on their YouTube channel where I did some videos, which I don't have video editing software, so I use Movie Maker for.
As long as it's not just got like, I've seen some people like, as long as it's not got like Bandicam free version on the middle of a screen or something.
No, there's nothing on it.
Okay.
All it has text-wise is, this is a development build and not the final product.
Fair enough.
So, no, there's no like Bandicam, Hypercam.
Yeah. Nah. The old days of YouTube, man. The old days of YouTube. So yeah, if you want to go and see, maybe you've been under a rock and you didn't know that Chille actually was a part of this. I will have all of those links for you, including to PlayStation Universe, in the description, so you can frequent that stuff. Lots of articles, lots of good stuff. Chille, thank you so much once again.
Thank you.
You've been amazing.
Thank you for having me.
An industry professional in the flesh. Until next time, let's do a bow. You ready? Ready? All right, ready.
Oh God, control.
You're not allowed to use macros this time. All right, ready? 3, A 2, a 1. Oh, a little bit of latency, but there we go. That's what we get.
Thank you.
Very nice. Thank you so much, guys. See you all next time. Bye bye.